देखिए, methods of valuing inventory. ठीक है, द कॉस्ट का मतलब क्या होता है? जो आपकी कॉस्ट प्राइस है, कॉस्ट प्राइस एंड द इन्वेंटरी एंड कन्वर्ट इनटू अ सेलेबल कंडीशन. द कॉस्ट प्राइस व्हाट यू हैव पेड, द प्राइस टू एक्वायर द इन्वेंटरी प्लस the to make it saleable condition. Okay, it may include with the cost you have to include carriage inwards, import duties, and packaging and handling. If you have bring that inventory to your premises, business premises, you have to include that carriage inward. You have to include import duty in case if you have bought it from other country and you have paid import duty. Another thing you have to pay include in the cost of inventory is packaging and handling. Packaging means if you are wrapping it and packing it in a packet or something. I mean that is in bottle or whatever. The package is also part of product, and you have to add it in the cost of inventory. That is the cost. The another method of valuing inventory is let me show you one thing. This is the one method, and another method is this one. That is net realizable value. And what is net realizable value? Sometimes they write it NRV. Okay, that is net realizable value. This is the estimated saleable value of the inventory in question, less a reasonable estimate of cost associated with the completion and eventual sale of the method, sale of the goods. Actually, that is the cost you have already incurred and a saleable value, how much you can sell it, and you have to subtract it. Let me highlight it. Okay, saleable value less a reasonable estimate. Less why you have to subtract it? Cost associated with the completion of I mean explanation would be given. If that is the net realizable value, and you have to subtract it cost associated with the completion of eventual sale of the good. Before selling it, you have to incur some cost. When you subtract it, then you will get net realizable value. For example, if the net realizable value of inventory decline to less than its cost, the business must value the inventory at net realizable value. What is that? If it is cost is, one thing is there. Let me write it down here. This is the method how we record inventory. That is called lower of cost and net realizable realizable value, whichever is lower. Is it clear? Whichever is lower, I mean, if it is cost is lower than the net realizable value, uh, then you have to record on the cash cost at cost. But if your realizable value is less than the cost, then you have to record on the realizable value. Okay, we will with I will explain you. I mean, with the numerical values. Up to here, any issue?
No, sir.
Okay. This is keeping with the prudence principle. You learned that prudence principle. Prudence principle is the principle said that anticipated profit should not be recorded. Anticipated loss should be recorded. So actually, if your value is more, that means your profit will be increased. That we will discuss in detail later on how it is. So if your closing inventory is less than the actual value, then your profit will be less because the closing inventory is subtracted from cost of goods sold. Okay, so here costs are generally lower than realizable value. However, a business may find itself a situation where the inventory has an uncertain future because the business does not know whether it will sell. Some of the reasons that could contribute to this situation are major price fall, defect damage. You see, major price fall. One reason is major price fall, maybe defect or damage of the good oversupply, even obsolete. Obsolete means out of date. Because of outdated, what happens? Your price cost decreases. Meaning the product is out of fashion. You can say out of fashion or outdated or no longer used. Okay. So now this is the method we study. Method of value inventory. One is at cost, other one is net realizable value. Now we will discuss in detail how it is calculated and what we discuss is what does it mean, cost and realizable value. Now you see question number one. What example one? Some inventory costing 400 was damaged. 100 must be spent to bring the inventory into saleable condition. This inventory can then be sold for 300. Okay, so this is the 3 point costing 400. If you don't understand, please you can interrupt in between. And damage and what happened? 100 must be spent. Okay, inventory into saleable condition. If you don't spend this 100, 400 cost is there. If you don't spend 100, then what happens? It will you will not able to sell it. So this inventory then be sold for 300. Okay, remember, then it can be sold for 300. Try to understand. 4 is the cost. We study the cost or net realizable value. So cost in this case, cost is 400. Let me show you here. This is the cost, and now you have to calculate uh, realizable value. So 100 must be spent to how we can calculate realizable value? We can calculate realizable value by the saleable value, that is 400, 300, 300, and the cost you have to incur it into saleable condition, that is 100. So 300 minus 100 is 200. Up to here, any problem?
No, sir.
Okay. So what you have to now you have to compute it. Once you have calculated realizable value, you see what we have here. This is the rule: lower of cost or and net realizable value, whichever is lower. So in this case, your net realizable value is less, right? Your net realizable value is less. So what you have to do? Simply because this is the cost 400 and this is realizable 200. So what you will do? You will record in the net realizable value. So inventory cost is 400 and the inventory value 200 net realizable value. So 400 is less or 200 is less? 200 is less. You see value which is lower than the cost. So you have to record in this 200 instead of recording 400. Okay. Up to here, no, any problem? No.
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay, and we can do one activity as well. Explain the term net realizable value. Net realizable value is like net real value is the estimated saleable value of the inventory in question less a reasonable estimated of cost associated with the completion and eventual sale of the goods. What is that? That is uh, the cost. I mean, in this question, if we try to understand in this question, this is the cost of making inventory saleable. That is 300, and then you have to before if you don't spend this 100, you cannot sell it for 300. So 300 minus 100. So this is the net realizable value. So after that, what you have to do, you have to compare it with cost, and then you have to record whichever cost is lower. Up to here, any problem? Okay.
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay. So explain the inventory is explain why inventory is lower valued at the lower of cost and net realizable value. The reason is because we have to apply the prudence concept, and prudence concept says that profit should not be anticipated profit should not be recorded, but anticipated loss should be recorded. You see, in this case, you are according to your cost, it is to 400, but actually this is damage, and when you calculate realizable value, that is 200. So in this case, value is not 400, but you have to record 200 because 200 was lower than the actual cost. So in this way, actually, the anticipated future loss you are recording right now. The inventory costing 600 was damaged. It was decided to spend 120 to get the inventory into a saleable condition. The inventory could then be sold at estimated price of 630. Calculate the net realizable value of the inventory. How can we calculate? Can you do it? You have to calculate net realizable value. How can you calculate the realizable value? That is, uh, in this case, how much it is? Saleable value, how much? Saleable condition. Inventory cost. This is the cost. We will not write this one. It is decided to spend 120, 630. Sold at the 630. Is it clear? 630 is the you can sell it, and before sale you have how much you have to spend? You have to spend 120. Any problem here? So
No, sir.
when you subtract how much you will get? It is
510.
very good. So 510. So 510, and this is the inventory costing 600. Calculate the net realizable value inventory. So you have calculated the realizable inventory. How much it is? It is this much. So this is 510. You have calculated net realizable value. And they state the value of inventory. State the value of inventory. Okay, how much you have to record value of inventory? Give the reason of your answer. How much you have to record this month? Now in this situation, we have how much? 600 is the cost. Net realizable base is just calculate 510. So which amount is lower? So this is 510. So how much you will record? State the inventory of inventory. How much it is? How much you will record? Sophia, you will be recording. Yes, please.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
I'm asking you the which inventory cost you will record because cost is 600 and the net realizable will 510. So how much will you record? Inventory, how much inventory you will record with? 510 or 600? Which amount you will be recording?
510.
Very good, Shabash. 510. And again, they are asking you, what is the reason? 510 you will be recording. Good. So we will be recording 510. Okay. And why will you record 510? Because it is Shabash.
It is sold to an estimate of 630. That's why.
No, it is not. You see, this is the condition. Lower of cost or and net realizable value. Whichever is lower. Now can you tell me? Because it is lower than the cost. Lower than the cost. Within bracket 4600. Is it clear?
Ji, sir.
Okay, once you calculate it and then you have to what you have to do, I'm just explaining it again. How you record inventory. First of all, you have to see if only cost is there, no damage, nothing is there, then you have to record at the cost. There is no problem. But whenever there is net realizable value as well as cost, then you have to compare it. How can you compare it? You have to subtract. You have to calculate in this way. You have to see the cost, and you have to cost. You have to compare cost with the net realizable value. In this question, inventory cost is 600. That is the cost. It was decided to spend 120 to get the inventory into saleable condition. So you have to spend 120 to make it saleable condition. And the inventory could be sold for estimated price of 630. So it can be sold for 600. So what will you do? 630 minus 120 is 630 minus 120. So 510 is the net realizable value. So this is your net realizable value 510 and your cost is 600. When you compare it, you find it that it is 510 is lower than the cost. So though you will record at the lower one. So if sometime cost is lower, then you have to record at the cost at the cost. If it is lower than the net realizable value, but if it is higher than, suppose in this question, net realizable value is less than the cost. So you will record at the net realizable value. The reason is because it is lower than the cost. That is 600. Is it clear? I
Ji,
think
sir.
okay.